Number 29th of the season now, in 37 games. So, how do you assess that performance, or how the players feeling in the dressing room?
Yeah, look, I think everyone knows it's been a really difficult year for the players and the club. So, first half we struggled to get going and we couldn't get out, and we knew it was going to be an intense atmosphere. And the first goal is probably the worst thing you want, because for a team bottom of the league, after a difficult year, you can't open up after it. And the second half was really encouraging. So, I thought the players dug in there in the second half, and there were some pleasing things about the performance. And, the season has been a tough one, and it's, there's no denying that. But all we can do as a group of professionals is keep going. We wanted to finish the season with dignity, remove the points record, and we've done that. We had a tough day today in the first half and a decent second half. So we have to move forward with what it is.
You touched on it there, struggling to sort of get out in the first half. The first shot you had coincided with putting 2 out and out strikers on the pitch and bringing sending up to the pitch as well. Sort of regret not starting the game that way.
It's easy in hindsight, isn't it? It's the same team in many respects, apart from 2 changes. We're missing Walker Peters, we're missing Jan Bednarak through injury now yesterday. We're a team bottom of the league, away from home in a tough game. Hindsight's very easy in these situations, isn't it? As I've said over and over again, my job is to be diligent and professional and set the team up in a responsible way. Everton aren't going to show any sympathy for us, are they? If we change shape, and we've got to go with what we think is right. And large parts of the 5, 6 games before have been right. So no regrets. And of course you learn as you go. We've got one more game, and I think some of the guys that come onto the pitch gave a really good account of themselves. Really pleasing for young Jay to come on and be bright again. Another debut for Joachim, or for the club. So we're bouncing into next year. I don't think anyone was going to expect much different with the 7 games I've inherited, apart from making sure we're set up to be solid, hard to beat, as organised as we can be, and hopefully pick some points up. And we have picked some points up.
The 2 questions on injuries. Firstly, how was Jan when you find out he wasn't really able to play? And you didn't check on Taylor. Sorry.
Yeah, I need to get an update on the last one. Jan had a knee complaint yesterday in training, so it wasn't something we wanted to take a risk on. Of course, Carl Walker-Peters as well. We didn't get much into him in terms of the week and the illness, so he wasn't available for this one either. So, it's not straightforward, is it? And we weren't at our best in the first 45 minutes for sure, and we struggled to get out, and the goals caused us a problem. But let's also focus on what was good on the day. There was positives, and we are trying to look forwards now and not backwards. The club is relegated, and we're getting ready for what's coming next year.
Is there any positive signs that Jan might be back by the Arsenal game next week?
Not sure.
Just on the May Sanders, you pushed in there. So the negativity of how Bella's going off then means a young player, Davies. So how nice is that for him? So what have you been able to make of it in a small time you work?
Yeah, obviously he's been part of the 21s group, and the opportunity presented itself yesterday. So really pleased, and I thought he equipped himself well today. Under pressure in the box against a team with physicality and aggression. So hopefully that's a big step forwards for him.
He's obviously played a lot of senior football as well, right, before in France. Does that sort of help on the occasions like this, where you maybe find out the day before you're going to be playing in the Premier League? It's not sort of a new experience of playing senior football for him.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it can go one way or the other, can't it? When you find out late doors. But I think the important thing for him is that he's gained some valuable experience. The atmosphere was hot at the end. For Jay and Joachim to be involved in that was good for their development.
I thought that was probably the best we've seen out of both Ross Stewart and Jay Robinson on the one. Is that basically because they've had a run of games now and they're sort of finding their feet at this level?
Yeah, hopefully. I thought Jay looked every bit a Premier League player when he come onto the pitch, and Roscoe, he's had a really difficult year, so it was nice for them to finish that way. Hindsight's always easy about who starts where and what, but we were happy with large part, and we actually felt we needed to be solid again for the first half hour of this game. That was going to be important, and we wanted to grow into the game and maybe open up as the game went on. But of course, the goals take that away from you, and it feels slightly worse than what it was.
Just with Jay, is he maybe starting to get into your mind about starting games? Just a little bit too early in terms of where he's about to start his sort of understanding of a full 90 minutes of football?
We've only got one left, so we ain't got many games. So that that would be a wider decision, obviously. But I think what we can say is that his development has been really encouraging over the course of the year, and he's a great lad. He's humble, he's hard working, and I thought today he showed that he could affect the level.
Just finally from me, kind of Sport before the game spoke about potentially new manager coming in. You see loads of reports before the game. Will still supposedly in talks with the club. That keeps coming up. Have you been told anything about the managerial situation?
No, nothing at all. And it's not in my thinking. It's not my concern at the moment. My concern is to continue to support the players. You know, that was what I wanted to do with these 7 games in extremely tough circumstances, to be quite honest. And you know, overall, with where we've ended with last week, getting the point that was important, and we're disappointed with today, of course. But you know, we have to look forwards now. Whatever decision the clubs makes, you know, with where they want to take the next stage is, I'm sure when the time's right, they'll let me know what that looks like. Cheers.
Okay, thank you very much, Tom.
Just on Carl and Yannick, they've played a couple of games for the club each for years. Do you think there's any chance that they'll be fit enough to have their potentially last game for the club next week?
Well, I guess really there's the balance, isn't there, that of getting the team out, which is right to compete, but also taking into consideration, you know, what's the right thing looking ahead. And they're not black and white things. So, you know, we've got the young players pushing on. We've got the likes of Jay that, you know, needs that exposure for the next bit of his development. So I guess really there's some things to think about, but we need to get a team on the pitch that, you know, finishes the season with pride. That was what we spoke about, you know, about fighting for pride and professionalism. So there's a duty to us as a football club to make sure we're ticking the right boxes when them things. But of course there's complexities involved these decisions when a team's been relegated, and you know, there's probably all in the mix.
Thanks everyone.
Cheers guys.